Today I'm going to show you how I prepare the Infusoria to feed the baby fish fry. Now we need Infusoria for the really small fry to feed on in the tanks. Now there is Infusoria already in our tanks, but it won't be enough to feed all our fry. So I filled the jar up with some tank water from a well-established tank, and we're going to do two methods today. One is going to be with some normal baking yeast, and the other is with some broccoli. You can also use anything like Brussels sprouts, or people use banana skins, so anything. But today's experiment I'm going to do both types. So she's got two jars. In the top of the jar, on the lid, it already had this hole in there, but I've drilled a hole in the middle, and I've done on the other one as well. Here, and we're just going to do is going to put some broccoli in. Okay, so what I haven't mentioned as well, you can put some leaves in from your tank that will have Infusoria on it as well. And we will just close that one. Now, to stop anything from getting in, any small flies or anything, I've just got some cotton wool there. Let's just put on top there. Okay, for the yeast, I've got a little bit of tank water in this jar here, and I'm just going to put a little bit of yeast in. This one, I don't need a lot. So here we go, I've already mixed that up, saves the boredom of you watching me mix up the yeast in the tank water. So that's all done there, and now just pour that into this jar. Okay, and just like the other one. Oh, hey, some water will come out the top there, and just get some cotton wool on the top there to stop anything from getting in there. Okay, I've now placed the two jars on the windowsill, and we will see in the next day or so how we're getting on. One thing I don't know if I mentioned with the broccoli, I did boil the broccoli before I put it in the jar, and I let it cool down. So, but I'll give you some updates as the days go by. Okay, day one after starting this Infusoria in the two jars. Like I say, there won't be much change on the first day, but you can see on the right hand side, which is the broccoli, starting to get a bit cloudy. That's the bacteria forming, and that will get more cloudy until we get a lot of Infusoria in there. So again, not a lot to report on the first day. Okay, on day 3, just checking this up for, unfortunately I haven't got time, I won't go to work, but tonight when I get home I'm going to get a micro lens on these jars and see what we've got in there. We should have something by now. Okay, hi everyone, this is a close-up of the jar with the yeast in, and unfortunately it's not shown up as well because, like an idiot, I left this in direct sunlight on the windowsill, and it has got some algae in there, and it's been all on the inside of the jar, and it's been a bit hard to focus in. But there is Infusoria in there, and you can see I've got a torch on the opposite side of the jar, and the Infusoria moves towards the light, and you can see it's forming a current inside the jar there. So yeah, so after say 3 days, the yeast has created Infusoria quite quickly, which it has done for me in the past. We're now going to have a look now in the jar with the broccoli and see how we're getting on in that one. Okay, this is the jar with the broccoli in it, and again hopefully this is coming across on screen, but you can see we have Infusoria in this jar as well. So it just goes to prove both ways, both work. Again, so this is after 3 days. So you know, this tells you that when you're going to be breeding small fish fry, is to prepare your Infusoria in advance. Don't wait for the fry to be born, because you'll have no Infusoria ready for the fry to feed. So once again, it's all about preparation, so make sure you've got your Infusoria all set up, ready to go once those baby fry hatch. Okay, this is a close-up in the jar with the broccoli in, and you can see all the Infusoria swimming around. There's just millions in there. And like I say, so you can see the broccoli jar was successful. Now, as far as the jar with the yeast in, there was so much algae on the side of the jar that the camera couldn't focus on the Infusoria. I can see with the naked eye there's Infusoria clouds in there, but the camera will just not pick it up. So what I'm going to do, because I have been successful with yeast before, I'm going to do another one with the yeast in, just to show you the results of that. And this time I will not put the jar in direct sunlight, and we'll see how that comes out. Okay, this is the one with the yeast in, and I thought to myself, you know what, I'm going to take the lid off and have a look from the top. And I think, as you can see, the yeast there, oh, it's getting focused again. The yeast does give us, keep it focused, a good result. There you go, look at all those. So no need for me to start up another jar. Look at them all. Yep, I'll be pleased with that as well as the vegetable whey. As I said, I knew I had a good success before with yeast, and I think this has just proved it. I thought I'd end this video and talk about the two methods we used to make the culture and which way I prefer. Both ways make a good culture of Infusoria, but there is one of them which I prefer, and that is the yeast. The yeast actually creates Infusoria quicker and also doesn't smell as much, whereas the broccoli, you have to wait a little bit longer for the broccoli to rot down, and then for the water to cloud up, and then for the Infusoria then to start feeding on the bacteria to multiply. Where with the yeast in the jar, the food is already there for the Infusoria and they start eating straight away. So from my personal point of view, the way of doing it with the yeast is my personal favourite way of doing it. Just don't do the same thing that I done and left the jars in direct sunlight, and it will create algae. But other than that, both ways make Infusoria, no problem, but the yeast for me is quicker and not smell as bad. So I hope you enjoyed the videos on how we created the culture, and thanks for watching.